This is the Leitmotif and Movement Podcast, a father and son's journey into the vast worlds of music. I'm your host, Mike Ficklin, and joining me on this epic musical journey is my son,
Michael Ficklin.
This show is dedicated to the discussion of music and introducing Michael to music from the past and present. We discuss music mainly from the genres of rock, hard rock, and heavy metal. We also, from time to time, dive into film and video game scores, and we sprinkle in some surprises along the way. Michael, what you been listening to this week?
Listen to the new Protest album. If you'd like to have a little short conversation on that.
Yeah, about the new Protest the Hero album?
Yep.
Absolutely. So, the new album is titled Within, and this is the 6th studio record from the Canadian progressive metal band, and the first one in 6 years. What you got, Michael?
It's I love how they evolve a whole bunch and change a whole bunch. Like, this record's more just whole entirely melodic. I don't think there is any screaming vocals.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think you're right. I think it's mostly clean, and I agree with you. This record, on the whole, is a whole lot more melodic. There's still tons of great guitar riffs, but I don't think it's as chaotic and experimental as, say, the record we just covered, which was Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think it's as experimental or chaotic as Palimpsest was.
I enjoyed this record on the whole. It's a bit different. Not something I expect from Protest. But it was very good. Very, very good.
Got any particular favorite songs?
I would have to listen to it like once or twice more. I listened to it a couple times, but I have not picked out a favorite song yet.
Yeah. I really feel like the extra strings all throughout this record add a lot of texture and emotion to these songs. I thought the segue tracks above and below are absolutely lush and gorgeous. For me, the standout tracks on this record are Mouthpiece, Fishhook, Grandfather's Axe, Liberty Spike, and The Mariner. Outstanding songs. It did take a couple of listens to really get into it, but I did end up really liking this a lot. It does get a Pick of the Week nomination from me. Anything else you wanted to say about that?
No. Other than listen to it. Get your own opinion.
I'm hoping that they're going to announce a North American tour here and that they're going to get close so that we can go catch them.
We can only pray.
Hope so. Anything else you've been listening to, man?
I listened to the new Love record.
All right. You want to talk about it for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the new Loathe record is titled A Stranger to You, and it is the 4th studio record from the English shoegaze progressive metal band. What'd you think, Michael?
It's not bad. It's just something that I'm not used to. And I've listened to it a couple times now. I still haven't gotten used to it.
Yeah, admittedly, it did take me several listens to really get a good feel for this record. So I totally get where you're coming from.
It's like tremendously different for me compared to, what is that record called?
I Let It In and It Took Everything.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's the only Loathe record you knew, correct?
I'm pretty sure I know the record after it.
Okay. I wasn't aware that you'd listened to anything else other than just the one that we covered for the show. It feels like Loathe incorporated some industrial dance, a little bit of psychedelic, and so added some funk to their sound. Very reminiscent of a band called Code Orange, which I'm not sure if you've ever heard before.
Never heard.
But it is ironic that it's reminiscent of Code Orange because members of Code Orange, Jamie Morgan and Eric Balderos, contributed to this record.
That could explain it.
For me, this record is a testament to a band that has decided not to stick with a tried and true formula. Instead, they expanded their wings into new horizons. It did take me several listens to get there, but I got there with it. You got any favorite tracks on this thing, Michael?
Not yet. I'm still getting used to it.
Can you put your finger on what it is that not really jiving with you yet?
It's just the sound. It's different.
It's definitely different from I Let It In, that's for sure. It was a little jarring on the first listen. Standout tracks for me, I really enjoyed Fortress Down, Revenant, The Way It Breaks, and Gifted Every Strength. And this does get another Pick of the Week nomination from me. Anything else you were listening to, Michael?
Just my usual playlist.
All right. Any new additions to that playlist?
I gotta do the scrolling. The only new addition that I did not say at all is Fortress.
Okay, so you added Protest's Fortress album.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've covered that album, and knowing how much you liked Palimpsest, and you've listened to their new record, are you gonna dig into anything else from them?
Yeah. And technically, I know part of the record that came out after Fortress.
I was trying to remember which one that is. Is it Volition? Is that the one that came after that?
No, the SCURRI.
Oh, yeah. Scurrilous, I think is how that's pronounced. Yeah. Okay. I also checked out the new EP from Haken titled In a Fever Dream, and I know I asked you to listen to it, but it sounds like you didn't get to it.
Nope.
So this is the second EP from the English progressive metal band, and their first release since the departure of guitarist Charlie Griffiths and bass guitarist Connor Green earlier this year. Ross Jennings brings back some harsh vocals in the title track and in the closer Lotus. That was awesome to hear. The EP on the whole is a bit of a hit or miss affair for me. A miss for me is the song Eclipsed by You. It's a synthwave track that just does nothing for me. The EP does feel less proggy than previous releases and leans more into a straightforward rock/metal territory. I know that, at least on the Haken subreddit, this EP has been really, really divisive. Standout tracks for me on this EP include In a Fever Dream, Bleeding Sky, and Lotus. I would really like to see Haken at least continue in this direction with the harsh vocals, or incorporating more harsh vocals. I like Ross's harsh vocals, so hopefully we'll get more of that in their next full album. I also took a chance on the new record from Bootsy Collins. It's Bootsy Collins and Buckethead with their album titled Metal Health. This is the first collaboration of Bootsy Collins and Buckethead. It's funk-infused avant-garde rock music. It's fun as hell to listen to. It's crazy how well Buckethead's guitar work fits in with these funk rhythms. Standout tracks for me include Funk Can Save You, Total Psycho, Metal Health Revived, Free Bucket, and Manic Depression. Just a really amazing album. If you get a chance, you should check it out. It's so good. Some other records I checked out. I unfortunately checked out the surprise dropped EP from Avenged Sevenfold titled Statica.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. This thing left me asking what the actual It's a bizarre turn towards electro-pop and auto-tuned vocals. It's terrible. Just terrible. I also listened to a couple of new Meshuggah releases, and they're not new, they're anniversary releases. The 30th anniversary edition of Destroy, Erase, Improve, and the 20th anniversary edition of Catch 33. Michael, you want to hear some of the music that inspired Periphery's Misha Mansour? Check this stuff out. You're going to love this stuff. I've been listening to Meshuggah for a long time. In fact, was listening to him before I had heard of Periphery. I've always liked these guys. I think you'll hear where the influence comes from.
Shot.
You'll have to let us know what you think. I also checked out the 25th anniversary release of Sum 41's All Killer No Filler. This thing is still a lot of fun to listen to. Michael, I know you like bands like Green Day. I think you'll like this band too. I think you'll like this album. It's really, really fun. Last thing I checked out, I finally finished that massive Metallica Reload Remastered box set. Took me long enough. Finally finished it up. Finished up all the live material. I enjoy listening to live albums. This stuff was outstanding. Great way to close out the box set. Now I can get back to listening to some other stuff. Michael, anything else before we move on?
No.
All right. So we'll move right along then to the Art of Discovery. This is our segment where we take a listen to a few bands that are either unsigned or just not getting the amount of love we feel they deserve. We've got a great selection of music for you this time around. We're gonna kick things off with a metal band out of Southern California. This is Djentrified, featuring Megg Jacobs, with their song Tear the Sun from the Sky.
sun from the sky, leaving nothing will behind. From the doors of design, and guard my day throughout time. I am the line cutting the strings that keep your house of cards alive. Deny the fight as I want to suffocate voice. Despise anger, let you end faithless orders. Your better end and grasping onto anything to keep from going. You endure this long killing. We will watch you out. We'll tear the sun from them. Scorching your earth and scorching your sins from nature. The same cross you burn that you're wearing. The crashing gravity that you are now
And once again, that was Djentrified, featuring Megg Jacobs, with their song Tear the Sun from the Sky. You can purchase their music from the iTunes store. Michael, what'd you think about that?
It was very good.
Goes hard as hell, man.
Mm-hmm.
Face melting. All right. Our next song comes from a progressive metal artist out of British Columbia, Canada. This is Cepheidae Variable with their song The Waiting Storm. And once again, that was Cepheidae Variable with their song The Waiting Storm. That comes from their album Primordial Reverie. You can purchase their music from their Bandcamp page, cepheidaevariable.bandcamp.com. Michael, what'd you think about that?
That was amazing.
I love instrumental prog rock, man, or instrumental prog metal in this case. Great stuff. Outstanding musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our final song comes from a metalcore band out of Southeast Michigan. This is Drift with their song Deceiver. And once again, that was Drift with their song Deceiver. You can purchase their music from the iTunes store. Michael, what'd you think about that?
It was amazing.
Yes, sir. Another one that just goes hard as hell, man.
Yep.
Great tune. All right. We would like to thank all of the bands that we featured on today's Art of Discovery segment. If you would like to have your music featured on the segment, feel free to reach out to us either via email at lightmovepod@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on one of our various social media accounts. If we dig what we hear, we would love to play your music on the show. All right, Michael, now we're going to get into our main topic. This time around, we're breaking down Dream Theater's 1992 release, Images and Words. Images and Words is the second studio album from the American progressive metal band Dream Theater. It was released on July 7th, 1992 through Atco Records. It's the first Dream Theater record to feature James LaBrie on vocals. Since its release, the album has maintained its position as the band's most commercially successful studio album, and the song Pull Me Under has the distinction of being the only top 10 hit, radio or otherwise, the band has had to date. When Dream Theater went in to record Images and Words, they were basically dead in the water. Their debut album had flopped. They had parted ways with their original singer, and they had spent 2 grueling years auditioning over 200 vocalists before finally finding James LaBrie. This album was their absolute last shot at making a career in music, and they ended up writing a record that practically defined a whole genre. While the album is universally beloved, prog metal purists still endlessly debate the drum production. Producer David Pritchard famously clashed with Mike Portnoy, forcing him to use a triggered snare drum sample that Portnoy absolutely hated. It gives the album a highly polished, distinctly 90s digital pop metal sheen that contrasts wildly with how raw and organic Portnoy's playing actually was. Images and Words was played in its entirety on several occasions during the European leg of the 2007 Chaos and Motion tour in celebration of its 15th anniversary. Images and Words was a moderate commercial hit, reaching number 61 on the US Billboard 200 chart. It is also Dream Theater's only album to be certified gold by the RIAA and remains their best-selling album to date, selling more than 600,000 copies. On April 9th, 2013, Images and Words won Loudwire's fan-voted March Metal Madness Award for Best Metal Album of All Time. In 2025, it was ranked by the same magazine as the 4th best progressive metal album of the 1990s. The song Under a Glass Moon was awarded the 98th best guitar solo by an About.com guitar expert. In October 2011, Images and Words was ranked number 7 on Guitar World magazine's top 10 list of guitar albums of 1992. In 2015, the album was ranked on the website Prog Report's list of the top 50 progressive rock albums of 1990 to 2015. 4 other Dream Theater albums also made the list. In 2017, it was ranked 95 at Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Metal Albums of All Time list. Personnel featured on this record, we've got James LaBrie on lead and backing vocals, Kevin Moore on keyboards, John Myung on bass, John Petrucci on guitars, and Mike Portnoy on drums and percussion, and we also have Jay Beckenstein doing a soprano saxophone on Another Day. And Michael, with that little bit of background out of the way, let's dive into our track-by-track analysis. we kick things off with track number 1 and undeniably the band's most popular track of all time. This is Pull Me Under. What you got on this?
I just like to state how big the gap is between Pull Me Under, which is their number 1 song, to their number 2 song.
Out of curiosity, what is their number 2 song?
Panic Attack.
Okay.
So, Pull Me Under has 96 million. Panic Attack has 51 million.
Yeah, that's a big disparity there, isn't it? It's a big drop off.
And their lowest in the top 10 is 10 million.
I believe it. I mean, progressive rock and progressive metal is not for everybody. It's certainly not your casual mainstream music listening person's favorite music at all. So, I understand. I would think that listenership would certainly be lower than, your standard rock and roll fare.
And 5 of the top 10 are on this record.
Interesting. What are those tracks?
Pull Me Under, of course. Another Day, Take the Time, Metropolis, Part 1, whatever, yeah. And Under a Glass Moon.
Okay, fair enough. What you got, man?
I love the opening. It's so, gloomy and stuff. I love the vocals on the song. I just like how everything fits in. Also, I really like that guitar solo around the 6:30 mark. It's amazing.
Yeah, Petrucci's going off there, man.
Everything about this song is amazing. It's got, everything to it. And this is a bit of a change of pace compared to the Protest album.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Totally. Big change of pace. We go from chaos.
We're not changing every 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is still progressive metal, though, so there's definitely some changes, but at least you get a little bit of breathing room between changes, right? The sections get a chance to breathe a bit.
Show off.
Yeah. Yeah, I will agree with you about the opening on this. The tone on John Petrucci's guitar in the opening is absolutely killer. And Mike Portnoy is playing this tribal drum beat in the opening section. I really like that also. At the 1:16 mark, we transition into a much heavier section. Petrucci has moved away from that clean guitar tone to a much crunchier, distorted riff. And, Michael, we don't get our first vocals until, the 2-minute mark.
Yeah, it's a pretty long gap.
Yeah. We get this really great instrumental opening to the track. And then James LaBrie comes in, and we get to hear him for the first time around 2 minutes in. I've always enjoyed his vocals. There's a ton of power to them, and he's got a great range. Very operatic and theatrical. Michael, coming off of Roddy Walker last week, how does James LaBrie's theatrical style hit your ears? Is it too 90s? Is it just right?
I think it's the perfect different.
I think so. I think it fits.
Mm-hmm.
The chorus on Pull Me Under feels huge and anthemic. LaBrie's vocal melodies are really hooky and memorable. I can't not sing along when I hear it. I also wanted to mention how much I love the really epic build-up pre-chorus sections in this song. Kevin Moore's keyboards on this song remind me of the sounds of the keys that come from Tangerine Dream's score for the 80s Tom Cruise film Legend. I don't think you've ever seen that before, Michael, but it's worth a watch. We're going to have to get around to it sometime.
Okay.
John Petrucci's guitar solo that you mentioned, Michael, so damn good, man. It's so good. The closing section of the song feels very cinematic and theatrical with the haunting keyboards and the sort of haunting underwater sounding vocals. Keyboardist Kevin Moore actually wrote the lyrics to this song. It's deeply inspired by Shakespeare's Hamlet. It explores the concepts of overwhelming existential dread, mortality, and the feeling of being dragged down by fate or forces beyond your control, closely mirroring Hamlet's internal struggle with life, death, and vengeance. The absolute most famous part of this track is the sudden, jarring cut to complete silence at the very end. The band did that intentionally as a direct homage to the Beatles' I Want You, She's So Heavy. They were tracking the song, realized it was running long, and decided that instead of a traditional fade-out, a brutal, unexpected cut would perfectly symbolize the lyrical theme of life suddenly ending. Did you pick up on that, Michael? That all of a sudden it just cuts off at the end? I swear, the first time I heard that song, I was like, wait, what? What's going on here? Michael, you got anything else on Pull Me Under? All right. So now we'll move on to track number 2. This is Another Day. Michael, what you got on this?
This song is the most crazy switch up.
Yeah, it does. It does go. We go from this really hard rock, up tempo number to this one opening up with a far more tender and emotional note. Petrucci and Moore give us a really pretty acoustic guitar and keyboard part, respectively, with LaBrie emotionally vocalizing over it. Very different.
Yeah, the opening immediately catches you off guard.
Especially
But
with the
I
fact that
love
Pull
this
Me Under
song.
ends so abrupt.
Yeah, I love this song.
It's a really good tune, man. Really good. Why do you like it so much?
The amount of vocal range that we get here, and also that amazing sax, like, towards the end.
Dude, yes. Yes.
So awesome.
Coming out of that first verse, we get a sax solo from Jay Beckenstein over the keyboards. I love it when metal bands incorporate sax, and this is no exception. It sounds sexy as hell here.
But I love the acoustic type guitar riff. I do believe like a piano some type.
Yeah, keyboards from
keyboard,
Moore.
yeah. Yeah, just amazing.
It's a really pretty
switch
song.
up though.
It is.
Really switch up.
It definitely is. Michael, saxophone in metal, is it an awesome texture to you, or does it accidentally make it sound like a 90s Weather Channel broadcast?
Awesome.
You like the sax too, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that first verse finds James LaBrie bringing his soft, emotional vocals to the fore over a gorgeous keyboard piece from Moore, and I believe that it's Petrucci back on the acoustic guitar as well. The second verse brings in the rest of the band. Moore does some more atmospheric work with the keyboards. John Myung's bass line is steady and helps carry the rhythm of the song. LaBrie gets a huge vocal moment at the end of the verse, hitting some crazy high notes. At the 3-minute mark, we transition into a really emotional feeling Petrucci guitar solo. This section reminds me a lot of Slash's work on the Guns N' Roses song November Rain. Michael, have you ever heard November Rain before?
I don't think so.
Okay. You do know who Guns N' Roses are, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Just making sure.
What kind of question is this?
Well, knowing how
That's
you
probably
live
like
under
the
a
most
rock.
dumb question.
You're like a
I do not
gremlin.
live under a rock.
You're like a
What?
gremlin, so... I see that look you're giving me. At the 3-minute, 44-second mark, we get into another sax solo over Moore's keyboards. It's a gorgeous way to carry us out of the song. This is one of the most deeply personal songs John Petrucci ever wrote. He wrote the lyrics entirely about his father, John Petrucci Sr., who was battling cancer at the time. He eventually passed away in 1996. The lyrics are a desperate, emotional plea for his father to find the strength to keep fighting for another day. The guest saxophonist Jay Beckenstein wasn't just a random studio musician. He is the co-founder of the legendary American jazz fusion band Spyro Gyra. Dream Theater was recording the album at Bear Track Studios in Suffern, New York, which happened to be owned by Beckenstein. He heard what the young prog metal band was working on, loved the track, and agreed to lay down those iconic soaring lines on the spot. Pretty cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you got anything else on Another Day?
I do not.
Okay. So now we'll move on to track number 3. This is Take the Time. Michael, what you got on this?
It's again another change in the feeling. That opening with that riff and it's just very creative.
Yeah, it's got this very 80s keyboard synth sci-fi feeling atmosphere. Moore's doing some really cool stuff there.
But I really like the opening. And I love how we get a whole bunch of bass. You can really hear that bass.
I'm surprised Michael actually picked out the bass line on this. I'll be damned. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack. I might be coming to see my dad tonight. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I did pick apart the bass line. Oh my, we're all surprised.
What else you got, bud?
It's just a whole entire very, very different sounding song. I feel like I just switched a whole entire artist.
Picked up a
with him.
completely different band, huh?
Yeah. But I like the vocals on this song.
Yeah, dude. I know James LaBrie takes a lot of crap these days, but I'm telling you right now, he was at the top of his game here. I like LaBrie as a vocalist even still today. I don't get the hate at all. He's so
Why
good.
are people hating on him?
I think people are hating on him because he can't do what he used to be able to do anymore. But
That can be said for a lot of people.
Agreed. We get older. Our voices change as we get older. We can't do the same things we used to. But he does his best. And I can't hate him for that. The band probably tunes down just a little bit to fit his vocals now. And they perform the songs the best way that he can. I don't hate him for that. I respect that. But here, he's young, and he's certainly at the top of his game.
He's at the peak of his vocal range and stuff.
Totally. Yeah, totally. The The song kicks in with some double bass from Portnoy and a driving bass line from Myung. This is accompanied by a very heavy Petrucci guitar riff. We transition from there into a very jazzy sounding section. Myung's bass line has a lot of funk to it. Petrucci's guitar tone is very jazzy and clean. It reminds me very much of Steve Vai. Michael, prog metal usually goes straight for heavy riffs. How do you feel when a band drops a random funk jazz breakdown right in the middle?
I don't feel like most bands do that.
You haven't listened to enough prog metal yet then, sir. Boy, I've got some ear opening for you. As we continue on our journey, you're gonna get it, brother. You're gonna get it. We get back to the driving bass and double bass rhythms for the chorus. We also get a big vocal performance from LaBrie. It's very Geddy Lee-like. At the 3-minute 25-second mark, we transition to a quiet ballad section. This gives way to a really proggy, Rush-like section. I love Petrucci's guitar solo, beginning around the 4-minute 34-second mark. It feels bright and warm. Moore gets a keyboard solo starting around the 5-minute 20-second mark that is likewise very good. All along, Myung's bass work bounces along and carries forward the infectious rhythm of the song. Around the 6-minute 32-second mark, we transition into another ballad section, which gives way about 45 seconds later to the chorus again to carry us out. Petrucci gets in some killer lead work as the song fades out. Take the Time is unique because it's the only song in Dream Theater's entire catalog where all 4 core members contributed to the lyrics. Following the release of their debut album, the band spent 3 grueling years without a singer, lost their manager, and dropped from their record label. The lyrics of this song reflect that exact period of intense frustration and creative struggle. Each member wrote a verse about their personal feelings on the brink of giving up, before coming together to write the uplifting chorus about taking control of your own destiny. Right around the 3-minute 10-second mark, as the heavy groove drops out, you hear a spoken sample say, "Wait a minute." That voice is legendary musician Frank Zappa, sampled directly from his song Dancin' Fool. Mike Portnoy was a massive Zappa fan and snuck the audio line in during editing. In the middle of the song, James LaBrie randomly shouts lines in Italian and Spanish. The band dropped these in to match the chaotic, multilingual noise of the world pressing in on them while trying to make it in the music business. Michael, do you have anything else on Take the Time?
I do not.
All right. Out of curiosity, Michael, have we come across your favorite song on this record yet?
It's between Pull Me Under and our next song.
Okay. Well, with that said then, we'll move on to track number 4. This is Surrounded. Michael, what you got on this?
Welcome back to Another Day 2.0. We get a amazing keyboard throughout the song. The riff is that you get towards the end of the song, I think. And the drum work is amazing. Just amazing. And the vocals just is a cherry on top.
Yeah. This one opens up with a sense of magic and wonder with that bright synth atmosphere and the very emotional keyboard riff from Moore, which I'm guessing is what leads you to call it Another Day 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
LaBrie delivers his vocals softly and with a lot of heart and emotion. I love his delivery of the lines. I know it's easier to walk away than look it in the eye. It's just gorgeous. When the rest of the band joins in, the song retains its soft ballad feel at first, before Portnoy's drums really kick in to make it feel more like a power ballad. The whole vibe of this song reminds me much of Rush or even early Spock's Beard. Michael, is this a top-tier 90s prog ballad, or does the clean synth intro feel a little too much like an 80s movie soundtrack?
I don't know.
Don't know how to answer that?
No.
There's no right or wrong answer. What do you think?
I'd say more 90s
Okay.
prog ballad.
Yep, I agree. LaBrie's vocal performance on the song is simply sensational. Around 3 minutes 11 seconds, when the song starts to build up, LaBrie's vocals really take off and soar. Petrucci's guitar solo, starting at the 3-minute 44-second mark, reminds me a lot of something that U2 guitarist The Edge would do. It's perfect for this song. Around the 4-minute 43-second mark, we transition back into that gorgeous piano ballad section from the beginning of the song, and LaBrie revisits the I Know It's Easier verse. I love this song. It's one of my favorites. Just gorgeous. This song was written entirely by keyboardist Kevin Moore. The lyrics are famously abstract, poetic, and spiritual. Moore explained it was about mental enlightenment and breaking out of dark personal cycles. The moment a person decides to stop hiding in the shadows and step out into the open, even if it's scary. That line, I know it's easier to walk away than look it in the eye, is the central theme of facing your demons instead of running. During their 1993 Music in Progress tour, the band frequently dedicated live performances of Surrounded to Arthur Ashe, the legendary African-American tennis champion who tragically contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion and passed away in early 1993. They felt the song's theme of finding light in the darkest moments honored his courage. And that delicate, twinkling intro isn't just standard synth presets. Producer David Prater made Kevin Moore layer a real grand piano, an old-school Rhodes electric piano, and digital synth pads simultaneously to give the opening that glassy, multi-layered magic feel. Pretty cool. Michael, do you have anything else on Surrounded?
I do not.
Okay. So now we'll move on to the absolutely epic track number 5. This is Metropolis, Part 1, The Miracle and the Sleeper. Michael, what you got on this?
We got like, is Santa Claus coming intro?
I think the opening to this song could be like the opening music to an 80s or 90s action movie.
Once we get that drum kicking in, yes. But we got like that when it fully kicks in with that guitar and drum work, it kind of sounds heroic in a way, you know?
Yes, very action-y. When the song kicks in full, Petrucci and Moore are in lockstep. Petrucci's crunchy guitar riff is following Moore's keyboard riff while adding in some flourishes here and there. Freaking fantastic.
Yes, very fantastic.
What else you got, man?
Just that riff. That riff is immaculate. Also, the keyboard. It's just amazing. Amazing. It's just so creative. And the vocals are amazing too.
For as long as the song is, it doesn't feel that long. It's, they keep you on your toes with the changes.
Something I figured out is with this album, the songs don't really feel as long as they are. They move so well.
Yep, that's a testament to the band's writing prowess, in my opinion, that they keep you interested from start to finish.
Uh-huh. Just so interesting.
Indeed. I think Mike Portnoy's drums, when the song kicks in, sound absolutely thunderous beneath the keyboards and the guitar work, especially even during the verses. My hat goes off to John Myung's bass line as he's chugging along with Petrucci's chugging riff on this verse. At the 3-minute 8-second mark, we transition into this really huge anthemic sounding section. LaBrie's vocals really take off during this section. Around the 4-minute 17-second mark, there's a transition into a short, proggy jazz fusion section that's very reminiscent of Rush. We get some guitar and keyboard solos coming out of the proggy transition, along with some double kick from Portnoy. Portnoy's drum work coming out of this section is so good. Lots of fantastic fills. At the 5-minute 36-second mark, Myung gets in a very tasty bass solo. Then at 5-minute 50 seconds, we get into another keyboard guitar syncopated solo, complete with double kick work from Portnoy. Around the 7-minute 1-second mark, the song starts to feel like it's devolving into chaos. It's a really interesting and fun section of the song. Michael, is this particular part controlled musical genius? Or is this the point where non-prog listeners completely turn the album off?
I don't know.
I'll answer that for you. This is pure musical genius, man.
Maybe a lot of people never know.
The song builds back up as the fantastic musicianship pulls things back together, and at the 8-minute 4-second mark, we get into the final verse. The song ends in epic fashion with another big vocal run from LaBrie. Written by John Petrucci, the lyrics draw heavily on themes of duality, destiny, and the myth of Romulus and Remus, the twin brothers who founded Rome. The miracle and the sleeper represent two opposing forces or figures locked in a cycle of love, death, and reincarnation. The lyrics were originally meant to be cryptic, poetic, and cinematic without a fully fleshed out plot. When fans pestered the band for years about part 1, the band took these exact lyrics and built their massive 1999 concept album Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, directly around them. Tagging part 1 onto the end was a complete internal joke by the band, a tongue-in-cheek nod to over-the-top 70s prog rock bands like Rush and Yes, who made multi-part suites. They never intended to write a part 2. John Myung's famous bass solo at the 5-minute 36-second mark was written when he was still playing a 4-string bass, using two-handed tapping techniques. When it came time to record the album at Bear Tracks, he just upgraded to a 6-string bass, forcing him to relearn his own solo on a wider neck under studio pressure. Pretty crazy. All right, Michael, you got anything else on Metropolis Part 1?
Dude.
All right. So now we'll move on to track number 6. This is Under a Glass Moon. Michael, what you got on this?
That riff to open us up. And the drum. There's so much going on to open the song.
Yeah,
It's
I think this one has a
amazing.
really haunting vibe to start out the
it
song.
does. It's very haunting. Especially when you get to like the minute 20 mark, when you get into the riff right before the vocals.
Yeah, are you talking about like that section that starts around a minute and 6 seconds? I refer to that section as the Final Fantasy battle music section. It's
no, not that section.
okay.
Right before the vocals.
Okay.
And it's also the riff that it carries us into the riff.
Okay.
Into the vocals riff. What am I saying?
Gotcha.
It gives that haunting vibe, and vocals just add on to that haunting vibe when it first gets in. It's very haunting.
Yeah, Kevin Moore's keyboard tone starting around the 27-second mark reminds me a bit of the music you might hear in an old school Nintendo Mega Man game. I mentioned that Final Fantasy battle music section at the 106 mark. It's this really heavy, jazzy, chaotic stuff happening in this section. Crazy stuff. We get into the first verse, and it feels like we're in an 80s metal song. LaBrie's vocals are taking flight. There's a lot of double kick work from Portnoy on this song. At the 2-minute 53-second mark, Petrucci brings back the Steve Vai clean guitar tone. Myung is driving the rhythm of the song with that bass line. At the 3-minute 56-second mark, Petrucci starts to fire up like he's going to deliver a blistering solo, but it's a fake out. Instead, we transition into a proggy keyboard-led section where Petrucci is adding accents. Michael, did you happen to catch that fake out, or were you expecting the solo right there?
I did catch that fake out.
I mean, how's that for subverting expectations? At the 4-minute 38-second mark, we do finally get into a very tasty Petrucci guitar solo. Hats off to Myung and Portnoy for holding the song together rhythmically while Petrucci's going off. At the 5-minute 37-second mark, we slide into a more keyboard solo. The tone on the keyboard feels very 70s or 80s. I love it. We close out the final 40 seconds with the chorus section and LaBrie hitting some killer high notes. John Petrucci wrote these lyrics, and they're famously abstract and metaphor heavy. Petrucci has stated it's about the struggle between inner darkness, spirituality, and chasing elusive dreams. Lines like, "I argue with the clouds, stealing beauty from my eyes," describe trying to find clarity and light while surrounded by a gloomy, oppressive world. Before James LaBrie brought his vocal melodies and Petrucci finalized the lyrics, the instrumental demo had the working title, "The Battle of Jimmy Coco and Fish Face." Petrucci's guitar solo at the 4-minute 38-second mark is widely considered by guitar publications like Guitar World and Total Guitar as one of the single greatest guitar solos of the 1990s metal era. It seamlessly blends sweep picking, bluesy bends, and whammy bar flutter in a single take. Michael, you got anything else on Under a Glass Moon?
I do not.
All right. So now we'll move on to track number 7. This is Wait for Sleep. Michael, what you got on this?
It's a nice piano, very or like keyboard and very nice vocal work. It's amazing. It's a nice chill.
It's like a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This one opens up with this dreamy keyboard atmospheric section. LaBrie delivers the lyrics softly over Moore's ethereal keyboards. LaBrie's vocals are almost sung like a lullaby. It's a short piece, and in fact, it's the shortest song on the entire record at just 2 minutes 32 seconds. Coming off the absolute chaos of Metropolis and Glass Moon, is this necessary breathing room, Michael, or does it slow down the album's momentum in your opinion?
It's necessary.
I think so. It's like taking the deep breath before the plunge.
Mm-hmm.
Keyboardist Kevin Moore wrote both the music and lyrics for this haunting piece. He wrote it about a close female friend who was going through a deep spiritual crisis and struggling with severe insomnia. The lyrics depict her staring at the ceiling, feeling an empty void, unable to quiet her mind enough to fall asleep. The album was actually considered finished before Wait for Sleep even existed. Producer David Prater felt the album needed a brief acoustic palette cleanser to connect the intense metal tracks. Kevin Moore went into the studio room alone with a grand piano and wrote the entire piece in a single afternoon. The piano motif Moore plays uses a 5/8 time signature rhythm that is directly modeled after classical minimalist composers like Philip Glass. Michael, do you have anything else on Wait for Sleep?
I do not.
All right, then. We will move on to the final track on the record. This is track number 8, Learning to Live. Michael, what you got on this?
I love that opening. It's a nice transfer to the song, and it's just nice. It's nice and engaging.
Yeah, that opening 30 seconds or so of this song kind of reminds me of music that Vince DiCola wrote for the 1986 Transformers animated movie.
Mm-hmm. I also love the vocals, the riffs that happen throughout the song. It's just amazing. But it's a very change up from Wait for Sleep. It's total understatement if you're just saying it's going to be like a tiny dive. It is a dive.
It absolutely is. Yeah, you're heading for the deep end. We're going Titanic depth, man, like 2.5, 3 miles under the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, prog metal usually takes itself super seriously, but does the synth work at the intro of the song make you think of an 80s action cartoon in the best way possible?
Sure.
I think Myung has a very sexy bass line starting around the 1 minute 14 second mark. It goes with the very atmospheric keyboards from Moore. LaBrie comes in for the first time at the 1 minute 36 second mark. The song starts to build up around the 1 minute 58 second mark. Petrucci's guitar tone is clean. LaBrie starts putting more power behind his vocals. This section actually reminds me a lot of Faith No More. I love when LaBrie gets in those big Sebastian Bach-like vocal gymnastics, and he hits those high notes on this one. The section starting at 4 minute 13 seconds feels like a throwback to the 80s hard rock heavy metal sound. My hat goes off to Mike Portnoy on this. There's so many time shifts on this song. His drum fills are killer and innovative. At the 5 minute 32 second mark, we transition into a section that kind of reminds me of Latin music. It's the tribal beat on the drums that Portnoy is playing and the tone of Petrucci's guitar that sell it. Petrucci's lead guitar work coming out of that section is fantastic. He doesn't go on some big shredding run, but he's getting the most from every note. There's a ton of emotion in his playing. Moore gets some lead keyboard work in, starting around the 7-minute 41-second mark. Again, his tone reminds me a lot of 80s synthwave. I love the build that starts around the 8-minute 12-second mark. It begins with just a classic piano sound, and slowly the other instruments come in until we get into another Petrucci solo section. This is followed by another Moore keyboard run that feels like pure 80s nostalgia. At 9 minutes 36 seconds, LaBrie gets in a big vocal performance. He's using that upper register. When he really gets up there, he sounds so much like young Geddy Lee. The closing moments of the song have an epic feel to them, especially when the choir vocalizing over the top comes in. If you know songs like Coheed and Cambria's Welcome Home, you know what I'm talking about. Uniquely, bassist John Myung wrote the lyrics for this 11-minute masterpiece. The song was heavily inspired by the 1980s AIDS crisis in Ayn Rand's novel The Fountainhead. Lines like, "Once I reached for love, and now I reach for life," deal with facing an existential health tragedy, overcoming fear, finding hope in a new decade, the 90s, and choosing to live with empathy and purpose despite chaos. At the 9-minute 36-second mark, when James LaBrie soars up into his highest register, he hits an astounding high F-sharp 5. It became one of the most...
Pretty high.
Yeah, dude. It became one of the most famous single vocal notes in progressive metal history and established LaBrie as a titan of the genre in 1992. The acoustic guitar breakdown around the 5-minute 32-second mark was written by John Petrucci while sitting on the porch of Bear Track Studios in the middle of the night during a rainstorm. Michael, do you have anything else on Learning to Live?
I do not.
All right then, well, now we'll get into our final thoughts and our overall album ratings. Michael, let's get your final thoughts and your overall rating out of 5.
Amazing record. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very fun to listen to. Change of pace from Protest.
Big change.
I'd say I give it a 5 out of 5.
Michael gives it a perfect score. Now, Michael, the more important question. Does it make your playlist?
Some of the songs, yeah.
Some? I assume Pull Me Under. Surrounded.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Mm-hmm. Probably that,
Metropolis?
probably, the first 4 definitely make it.
Right on. Not sure about the others?
Yeah.
So, I remember the first time I heard this record, and the reason for listening to it so well. When I was a junior in high school, some friends of mine would pick on me for being a Van Halen fan. It was the late 90s, and the younger generation had moved on from the 80s hard rock sound. One of those friends used to tell me all the time that Dream Theater was better. I had no idea who they were. I finally asked him to borrow a CD so I could hear this band that he talked about all the time. On first listen, I wasn't sure how I felt. It was so different. I listened again, and I ended up appreciating the musicianship, but it didn't really latch on with me. It wasn't until I was a bit older that I really found a taste for progressive metal. All these years later, I find that Images and Words is a phenomenal work of art. I mentioned several times that John Petrucci's guitar tone feels very similar to the great Steve Vai. Petrucci's guitar work on this album is fantastic. He shows off a variety of different influences, including jazz fusion, metal, and Latin. His guitar work is smooth and feels effortless. Kevin Moore's keyboards likewise are fantastic. At times, he takes on the role of lead keyboardist and takes off on these sweeping runs. John Myung deserves a great deal of credit on this record. He's the steady rhythmic anchor of the band, allowing Petrucci and Moore to take off on their amazing lead work. Mike Portnoy is one of my favorite drummers of all time, and that love started here. He deftly handles moving between transitions in timing and feel. His fills are, in my opinion, original and unconventional. It lends him a great deal of uniqueness. Then there's James LaBrie on the vocals. On this album, he's a revelation. His range is mind-blowing. I would put him up on the same level with singers like Sebastian Bach and Geddy Lee. He delivers operatic performances on these songs with a great deal of control and smoothness. This album absolutely delivers and set Dream Theater on the path to prog metal success. This gets a 4.75 out of 5 from me. And that will take us to our question for the audience. What is your favorite track on Images and Words, and why? All right, Michael, now we're going to move on to our next segment. This is Can't Wait. New music coming soon. Michael, anything on your list?
I will let you get to that on your list.
Okay.
Because you have it on there.
Okay. I think I know what it is then.
Yeah.
So, the only thing that's on my radar for the next couple of weeks anyway, on July 31st, Bear McCreary drops The Singularity Eclipsis. Really looking forward to digging into that. I loved The Singularity, which was released a couple of years ago. Fantastic record. I'm sure this will be just as good. Recently announced, on August 28th, Mastodon drops their new record, Marrow Deep. Michael, I assume that's the one you're looking forward to?
Yep.
On September 11th, Mother of Millions drops their new record, T. On October 2nd, Amon Amarth dropped their new record, The All-Father Awakens. And on November 6th, Hatebreed drops their new record, Fatal Paradox. Michael, anything else before we move on?
No.
Okay. Well, we will move right along then to our final segment of the show. This is Michael's Journey, discovering a song from the past. This time around, we're going to get Michael's thoughts on Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years. The Living Years was written by B.A. Robertson and Mike Rutherford, and recorded by Rutherford's rock band Mike and the Mechanics. It was released in December 1988 in the United Kingdom and in the United States as the second single from their album Living Years. The ballad was a worldwide chart hit, topping the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 on the 25th of March 1989. It's the band's only number 1 and last top 10 hit on that chart. It also reached number 1 in Australia, Canada, and Ireland, and number 2 in the UK. It spent 4 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Adult Contemporary chart. This song wasn't just a commercial hit. It was born from real, devastating grief. Songwriter B.A. Robertson wrote the lyrics after losing his father shortly before his own son was born. He brought it to Mike Rutherford of Genesis, who had also recently lost his father. That shared experience of regret and unresolved conversations is what gives the song its crushing, authentic, emotional weight. While Rutherford wrote the song, it was sung with incredible soul by Paul Carrack. Carrack's emotional delivery came from a place of deep pain. His own father died in a tragic industrial accident when Paul was only 11 years old. When Carrack sang the line, "I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away," he was channeling his own childhood trauma. Rutherford has said in numerous interviews that out of all of the giant hits he wrote with Genesis or The Mechanics, The Living Years is the only song where hundreds of fans wrote to him claiming it saved their relationships. People literally reconciled with their estranged fathers after hearing it on the radio. The emotional music video for the song was filmed in a tiny church in North Devon, England, and features Mike Rutherford alongside his real-life 8-year-old son, Tom. Featured personnel on this song: Mike Rutherford on electric rhythm guitar and bass guitar, Paul Carrack on lead vocals, Paul Young on backing vocals, Adrian Lee on keyboards, Peter Van Hook on drums. We also have additional personnel, Sal Galena on keyboards, B.A. Robertson on keyboards, Alan Murphy on guitar, Martin Ditcham and Luis Jardim on percussion, Christopher Neal on backing vocals, as well as Alan Carvel, and also included a child and adult studio musician choir, which was recorded in New York City separately. And Michael, with that little bit of background out of the way, let's get your thoughts on this song.
This is a beautiful song. Love the vocals and love the instruments. Just very beautiful. Fun fact, I've never heard this song.
Interesting. This was huge when I was a kid. Really pretty song.
It is.
This song opens up with a gospel-like feel. There's this gorgeous keyboard atmosphere provided by Adrian Lee, Sal Galena, and B.A. Robertson. Over the top of this very emotional atmosphere is the soulful vocals of Paul Carrack. At the 58-second mark, Peter Van Hook's drums and Mike Rutherford's guitars join in. Rutherford's playing is very minimalistic. It reminds me of something that The Edge might play. I love the chorus vocal arrangement. A mixed children and adult choir comes in and sings with Carrack, providing emphasis as he repeats the end of each line. The vocal melody is absolutely gorgeous and gospel-like. I can't not sing along when I hear it. That final verse hits me so hard. It very much reminds me of my exact feelings and the exact way I learned my father had died. When you listen to these lyrics as a teenager, Michael, what stands out to you about the generational gap the song describes?
I don't know.
Do you think it's perhaps preaching an important message to make sure to speak clearly and to make your feelings known to the people that are most important to you before you don't have that opportunity?
I don't know.
Just don't want to think that hard about it?
I haven't listened to the vocals that closely.
Fair enough. I have always enjoyed this song, even as a kid, though I didn't understand its meaning in my youth. I think this song really started to resonate with me after my father died from cancer at a much too young age of 44. I felt like there was so much left unsaid, so many things that I didn't have a chance to express. I didn't have a contentious relationship with my father, but there's still all the what-ifs and I should have told hims that float around in my head still today. The Living Years is an emotional and heartfelt masterpiece. Michael, let's get your rating out of 5 on this.
I would give it a 5 out of 5, which makes this a perfect show for me.
Perfect show for Michael. All right, man. Well, up next on your journey, we're going to talk about the Supremes' Where Did Our Love Go? And for our main topic on the next episode, we're going to be discussing the soundtrack to the 1995 Mortal Kombat film. And yes, Michael, we're going to watch it together so you can get a feel for where these songs are coming from. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, with that said, we want to hear from you. We will read your emails and messages on the show. We have only one request. Keep them clean. There are several ways to contact us. You can email us at lightmovepod@gmail.com. You can also reach us on several social media platforms, such as Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads. Details on how to connect with us are in the show notes. We are part of the SPDM Crew Podcast Network. Check out all of the podcasts on the network by visiting spdmcrew.com.
If you like the show, subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform and share it with your friends and family. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and a variety of other platforms. We're also on YouTube. Can't find us on your chosen platform? Shoot us a message and let us know. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. This helps us be found in the algorithm. Make them good and we'll read them on the air. Are you in a band and you'd like for us to check you out and possibly drop a recommendation on the show? Shoot us a message. We'd love to check you out and give you a shout. We'd like to thank you very much for listening to the Leitmotif and Movement podcast.
Take care and enjoy music.